I always thought blood was thicker than water. That's what they say, right? Family above all else. But they never tell you what happens when family becomes your worst enemy. My name is Olivia West, and this is the story of how my sister Sarah tried to steal my future and how karma finally caught up with her. It started 3 years ago in my tiny apartment, surrounded by prototype sketches and endless cups of coffee. I was developing a revolutionary fitness tracking system that could monitor not just basic health metrics, but also predict potential health issues before they became serious problems. The algorithm I created could analyze patterns that other systems missed, potentially saving lives through early detection. I called it HealthGuard. Sarah used to visit occasionally, always with that condescending smile she perfected since childhood. She was the successful sister, MBA from Harvard, executive position at a prestigious consulting firm. Perfect marriage to a wealthy businessman. I was the dreamer, the one who left a promising career in biomedical engineering to pursue what my family called a risky venture. "Still playing with your little project?" she asked one evening, picking up one of my design documents. "You know, you could come work for James' company. They're always looking for talented engineers." I shook my head, pulling up the latest test results on my laptop. "Look at these numbers, Sarah." The system predicted cardiac irregularities 2 weeks before traditional tests showed any signs. "This could revolutionize preventive health care." She leaned closer, her expression changing as she scrolled through the data. For once, the smugness faded, replaced by something I should have recognized: calculation. "How close are you to finalizing it?" she asked, her voice carefully neutral. "I'm filing the patent next week. Then I start pitching to investors." I couldn't keep the excitement from my voice. "I've already got meetings lined up with 3 major venture capital firms." Sarah set down her wine glass, suddenly interested. "You should let me look over the business plan. With my experience, I could help you polish it." I hesitated. Sarah had never shown interest in my work before. But she was family, and she did have experience in the business world. "I'll email you the overview, but the technical details stay with me until the patent's filed." She hugged me before leaving. "I'm proud of you, little sister. This could be big." I should have seen it in her eyes. Should have noticed how she photographed my whiteboard when she thought I wasn't looking. Should have recognized the predator's smile she wore as she left. But I trusted her. She was my sister. 1 week later, my patent lawyer called. "Olivia, we have a problem." Someone filed a patent application for a health monitoring system remarkably similar to HealthGuard. It was filed 2 days ago. My blood ran cold. "That's impossible. I haven't shared the details with anyone except—" My voice trailed off as realization hit. "The application was filed by West Tech Innovations," he continued, "founded by Sarah West." The room spun. I grabbed my desk for support, knocking over a cold cup of coffee. Sarah had stolen my idea. My own sister had taken everything I'd worked for and tried to claim it as her own. With trembling hands, I called her. It went straight to voicemail. I tried texting. "How could you do this to me?" Her response came hours later. "It's just business, Olivia. You're not ready to handle something this big. I'm doing you a favor. You can still be part of it, just not in charge." That's better for everyone. Better for everyone. The words burned like acid. I'd heard them before, throughout our childhood. When she took credit for my science fair project because she presented better. When she borrowed my college application essay because she needed it more. When she convinced our parents to use my car fund for her semester abroad because it was better for everyone. But this was different. This wasn't a childhood trophy or a car. This was my life's work. I called my lawyer back. "What are my options?" "Well, you have your documented work, test results, prototypes. We can fight this, but it'll be expensive. Corporate lawyers against a solo inventor. It won't be easy." I looked around my apartment, at the 3 years of work covering every surface, at the prototype I built with my savings, at the dreams Sarah thought she could steal. "Do whatever it takes," I said. I'm not letting her win this time. The next few months were a nightmare of legal battles and drained bank accounts. Sarah had advantages. Corporate lawyers, my own family's support. They always took her side. And connections in the business world. But I had something she didn't: the truth. Every night, I gathered more evidence. Every prototype iteration, every test result, every dated document. I reached out to everyone who'd seen my work over the years. professors, former colleagues, even the barista at my local coffee shop who'd seen me working on designs for months. Then came the bombshell. My lawyer called, actually laughing. "Olivia, you need to see this." In their rush to file the patent, they made a crucial mistake. The technical specifications include your original code comments, including your name and date stamps. A spark of hope ignited. What does that mean? It means we've got them. They copied your work so exactly they forgot to remove your digital fingerprints. But here's the real kicker. Some of those components are registered under your previous patents from your biomedical engineering days. Patents that only you can license. I sat down hard, my legs weak with relief. So your sister's perfect theft isn't so perfect. She can try to steal your idea, but she can't steal your past work. Any company wanting to use this technology would need your signature to license those components. For the first time in months, I smiled. Has Sarah figured this out yet? Probably not. From what I hear, West Tech is deep in negotiations with major investors. They're about to announce a $5 million funding round. I thought about Sarah in her expensive suit, shaking hands with investors, playing the role of the brilliant innovator. She probably thought she won, just like always. "Don't tell them," I said. "Let them figure it out on their own." My lawyer was quiet for a moment. "You sure? We could end this now." I thought about all the times Sarah had taken what was mine, all the times she'd smiled while doing it. Oh yes. I want to be there when she realizes. I want to see her face when she understands exactly what she's done. I didn't have to wait long. 3 weeks later, I received an invitation to West Tech's official funding announcement and contract signing ceremony. Not because they wanted me there, they had to invite me. The investors had discovered my previous patents and insisted on having all intellectual property rights secured before transferring the funds. Sarah didn't know that part yet. She probably thought inviting me was just rubbing salt in the wound, showing off her victory one final time. The ceremony was scheduled for tomorrow morning at the prestigious Sterling Hotel downtown. Sarah had always loved an audience for her triumphs. As I laid out my clothes for the event, not the cheap suit she'd expect, but a tailored designer outfit I'd splurged on, I thought about what I would say when the moment came. When she finally realized that her perfect theft had one fatal flaw. I picked up my phone and typed out a message. "Looking forward to tomorrow, sis. It's going to be quite a show." Her response came quickly. "How gracious of you to attend. It's good that you can be supportive of success, even if it's not your own." I smiled at my phone. Sarah had no idea what was coming. Tomorrow, she would learn that some victories come at a price. And I intended to make that price very, very high. The Sterling Hotel's grand ballroom buzzed with anticipation. Tech journalists, investors, and Silicon Valley elites mingled over champagne and elaborate hors d'oeuvres. A large banner proclaimed West Tech Innovations, the future of healthcare, above a stage where my sister would soon announce her triumph. My triumph, actually, but we'd get to that. I arrived early, choosing a seat near the back where I could observe everything. Sarah was at the center of a crowd, practically glowing in an expensive designer suit, laughing at something an investor had said. She hadn't noticed me yet. "Ms. West?" A young man in a crisp suit approached my table. "I'm Benjamin from Accelerate Ventures. We're the lead investors in today's funding round." I smiled, shaking his hand. "Please call me Olivia. I'm sure you've been dealing with the other Ms. West quite a bit lately." He nodded, then lowered his voice. "Actually, that's why I wanted to speak with you. There seem to be some complications regarding the intellectual property rights." "Oh?" I kept my voice innocent. "What kind of complications?" "Some of the core technology appears to be built on patents registered to you. We'll need your signature on the licensing agreements before we can transfer the funds." I took a sip of water, enjoying the moment. How interesting. Does my sister know about this requirement? Benjamin shifted uncomfortably. "We were told it wouldn't be an issue, that you had already agreed to sign everything over." Of course Sarah had said that. She probably assumed I'd roll over, just like always. "I see," I said simply. "I guess we'll all find out soon enough." The ceremony began right on schedule. Sarah took the stage, positively radiant with false triumph. Our parents sat in the front row, beaming with pride at their successful daughter. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah began, "today marks a new chapter in preventive healthcare. Westtech's revolutionary monitoring system will change how we approach personal health management. I listened as she described my invention, my research, my breakthroughs, all presented as her own brilliant insights. The audience was captivated. Sarah had always been good at taking credit for other people's work. Then came the moment I've been waiting for. And now, Sarah announced, we're excited to finalize our $5 million funding round with Accelerate Ventures. If we could have all parties come to the stage for the contract signing. I stood up, smoothing my dress. Several heads turned as I made my way to the stage. Sarah's smile flickered for just a moment when she saw me, but she quickly recovered. How lovely of my sister to join us for this momentous occasion, she said into the microphone, her voice dripping with condescension. I took my place at the signing table, watching as the lawyers distributed the contracts. Sarah signed with a flourish, then pushed the papers toward the investors. Benjamin cleared his throat. Actually, we need one more signature before we can proceed. He slid a document toward me. Ms. Olivia West needs to approve the licensing of her existing patents. The room went silent. Sarah's perfect smile froze on her face. What? She whispered. I picked up the contract, making a show of reading it carefully. Oh yes, these are my patents from my biomedical engineering days. The ones you built your entire system on when you copied my work. Sarah's face went pale. This is ridiculous. I developed this technology myself. Really? I raised an eyebrow. Should we discuss the code comments you forgot to remove? The ones with my name and date stamps, or maybe the test results documented in my lab notebooks. The prototype's witnesses saw me developing months before you suddenly became a healthcare technology expert. Our parents stood up, confusion evident on their faces. Sarah, our mother called. What's going on? I turned to address the crowd. What's going on is quite simple. My sister stole my research, my designs, and my intellectual property. She filed a patent application for my invention, counting on her corporate lawyers to overwhelm me in legal battles. But she made one crucial mistake. I held up the licensing agreement. She built everything on technology I had already patented, technology that cannot be used without my explicit permission. The ballroom erupted in murmurs. Investors huddled with their lawyers. Journalists frantically took notes. You can't do this to me, Sarah hissed, grabbing my arm. I have investors, contracts, commitments. I pulled away from her grip. No, Sarah. You have nothing. Nothing but stolen ideas and broken trust. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister the moment you decided to steal my life's work. Benjamin from Accelerate Ventures stepped forward. Ms. West? Sarah, I think we need to discuss this situation. If these allegations are true, they're not just allegations, I said calmly, reaching into my briefcase. I have complete documentation of my work, witnesses, dated prototypes, and digital evidence. Your lawyers are welcome to verify everything. I turned back to Sarah, whose perfect world was crumbling around her. You know what the funny thing is? If you had just asked to work with me, to be a real partner, I probably would have said yes. But you couldn't stand the idea of your little sister succeeding on her own, could you? Our father stepped onto the stage. Sarah, tell me this isn't true. But Sarah's silence was all the confirmation anyone needed. I'll sign these papers on one condition, I announced, holding up the licensing agreement. Sarah's head snapped up, hope flickering in her eyes. Name it. Westtech Innovations transfers all patent applications and intellectual property back to me. You resign as CEO. And you publicly acknowledge where this technology really came from. That's ridiculous, she sputtered. You can't expect me to. Actually, Benjamin interrupted. Given the circumstances, I think these terms are quite generous. The alternative would be fraud charges and potential criminal proceedings. The next hour was a blur of lawyers, revised contracts, and shocked witnesses. Sarah's perfect funding announcement had turned into her perfect downfall. As security escorted her from the building, she turned back one last time. I hope you're happy, she spat. You've ruined everything. No, Sarah. You ruined everything when you chose greed over family. 1 year later, HealthGuard launched under my leadership. The system has already helped detect early warning signs in thousands of patients, potentially saving countless lives. The initial public offering valued the company at over $100 million. Sarah? Last I heard, she's working as a mid-level manager at a small consulting firm. Our parents finally had to acknowledge that their successful daughter had built her success on lies. Sometimes at night, I look at the framed document hanging in my office, my original patent application for HealthGuard. Next to it is a quote I had engraved in silver: "Success built on theft stands on a foundation of sand." Sarah thought she could steal my dream. Instead, she taught me the most valuable lesson of all. True success comes not just from having a great idea, but from having the integrity to stand by it, fight for it, and see it through, no matter who tries to take it from you, even if that person is your own sister.